Hello, everybody, and thanks for inviting me to present about Leap Forward at this all hands meeting. I apologize for not being present at this meeting, and I think it's mainly because of my inability to stay awake past 10:30 p.m. So I'm sorry, and I hope that I can attend one of these all hand meetings in the future. But for now, let me get started with my presentation. So I'm the project lead for Leap Forward. My name is Kshitij, and the project monitor for this is Jyoti Vadmare. Let me get into a little bit of details about the model. So the main focus of this model is to improve the teaching quality of English in local language government schools across India. So there are a number of different ways in which English can be taught, but Leap Forward has developed their content in such a way, and keeping in mind that in rural India, the students are surrounded by people who don't know how to speak English. So the teachers don't know how to speak English, the parents don't know how to speak English. So their content is designed in such a way that it will work in rural parts of India. Currently, they are operating in 5 states. In Maharashtra, they are operating in all 36 districts. And the unique thing about the Maharashtra project is that it's completely voluntary, and the word spreads through word of mouth, and teachers uh, recruit other teachers, and it just keeps going like that. In Madhya Pradesh, they have a mandate with the state government, and so basically they are scaled across the state. In Rajasthan, they have another government mandate, and they are operating in one district in Rajasthan. So Vibha has been supporting Leap Forward for the past 2 academic years. So 2019-20 academic year and 2021 academic year. And we've been supporting the work which is happening in 4 districts in Maharashtra, which are Ahmednagar, Nashik, Satara, and Solapur. So a little bit of details about how the model works. Initially, the teachers undergo a 7-day trial period, after which, when they get get an idea of how the model works, they are given the option of signing into the fully structured program, which is called the teacher support system. In this, what happens is they get added to a WhatsApp group, depending on their grade level and which location their school is in. They get added to the specific WhatsApp group, and then once they get added, their leap forward start sharing uh, different things on those groups. Like for example, they'll share on a regular basis. Like suppose in this week they want the teachers to teach a certain concept, say about the sound of alphabets, and so they will send a certain video which will explain about how certain alphabets sound, and then they will also send videos about what activity can be done in class to teach that specific concept. Then they will pass quizzes, tests, homework, assignments, which the teacher then passes on to the students. And they also do questionnaires and surveys to understand how the program is working for the teachers, whether there are any things that can be improved. And they also have calling a team that makes random calls to teachers and tries to get their feedback on what and try to get the pulse, basically. The content which is passed through the WhatsApp is complemented by a set of books which Leap Forward has designed. However, these are not free. That if the teachers need these books, they purchase them at their own cost. This is the funnel in 2019-20. So up to this point, about 1 lakh 12 thousand teachers have signed up for the initial trial period, out of which around 50,000 teachers signed up for the year-long engagement, which I mentioned earlier as the teacher support system. And then after that, the data suggests that about 15,000 teachers are actually teaching using leap forward techniques. And leap forward gets this data from various methods, like by when they pass certain calls to action, like a quiz or something, and the teacher uploads the data, they know that the teacher has done some amount of teaching using the techniques. And they also have the data which says that about 5,500 teachers have completed one learning level. So basically, the entire content is divided into multiple learning levels, and about 5,500 teachers have actually completed one learning level out of these. And this amounts to about 4 lakh students who have learned using leap forward techniques, and 1.5 lakh students who've completed at least one learning level. So these are quite impressive numbers. And now I want to just quickly show a sample video which leap forward. I mean, it's an example of videos which are shown by leap forward to its past to the teachers. So
26 अक्षरों की भाषा पढ़ने का फोनिक्स
yeah.
पद्धति का मतलब है आवाज पर निर्भर रहने वाली भाषा पढ़ने का तरीका। इस वीडियो में
So this video is basically I've taken this from the Hindi program which is going on in Madhya Pradesh, and I have taken this mainly I've used this one because I'm assuming that more people would know Hindi than Marathi, and that's why I've sort of taken this video. This video talks about the sound of alphabet. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I just want you to get an
मैं
idea of
आपको
this.
26 अक्षरों की आवाजें बताने जा रहा हूँ। याद रखिए, हर अक्षर को एक नाम होता है और एक आवाज होती है। दोस्तों, अक्षर माने लेटर। अब इसके आगे मैं अक्षर नहीं बोलूंगा बल्कि लेटर कहने वाला हूँ। यदि हमें अंग्रेजी बिना गलती किए पढ़नी हो तो हमें लेटर्स का नाम और उसकी आवाज याद होना जरूरी है। चलिए, मैं अभी आपको हर अक्षर का नाम और उसकी आवाज बताता हूँ। साउंड्स ऑफ कॉन्सोनेंट्स पार्ट 1। लेटर्स को 2 भागों में विभाजित किया जाता है। पहला भाग वॉवेल्स और दूसरा भाग कॉन्सोनेंट्स। वॉवेल्स का मतलब होता है स्वर और कॉन्सोनेंट्स का मतलब होता है व्यंजन। दोस्तों, इस वीडियो में मैं आपको ऐसे कुछ कॉन्सोनेंट बताने वाला हूं जिनकी आवाज उनके नाम में ही छुपी है, और इसलिए हमें उनकी आवाज याद रखना बहुत आसान है। चलिए, मैं आपको एक उदाहरण द्वारा समझाता हूं। दोस्तों, इस अक्षर का नाम है बी और उसकी आवाज है ब। अगर आपने ध्यान से देखा, बी की आवाज ब उसके नाम में ही छुपी है। नाम बी, आवाज ब। अगला कॉन्सोनेंट देखते हैं।
Yeah, so I just wanted to give you guys an idea. That's just one of the videos which is passed to the teachers, and so it's basically like a hand-holding technique which starts from the beginning of the academic year to the end, and it helps the teachers organize how they're going to teach it. It also makes it very easy for them to teach English. Now, just to go into the status, the numbers. So in 2018-19, all the districts in Maharashtra had at least one teacher who was teaching using leap forward techniques. And then in 2019-20, they got full taluka coverage. So taluka is one level below a district, and there are total 358 talukas in Maharashtra. So out of that, every taluka had at least one teacher who was teaching using leap forward techniques. And this data I already showed in the funnel which I was showing. So approximately 1 lakh 12,000 teachers signed up for the initial trial, and about 45% were added to the WhatsApp groups. And now focusing only on the Vibha specific districts. So these are the 4 districts, and you can see the number jump to almost more than 90% of these have areas are covered by I mean have teachers who have basically are teaching using leap forward techniques. And currently in 2020-21, they have been able to achieve 91% cluster penetration. A cluster is one level below a taluka, a smaller geographical area, And so there are total about 5,500 clusters all over Maharashtra, out of which 5,058 clusters have at least one teacher who has is teaching using leap forward techniques. So this has been their progression over the last 3 years, and there are certain other important milestones which have also been achieved. For example, um, last year what happened was that the Kendra Pramukh is sort of the head of all the schools in a Kendra, which is one of the groupings, and the Kendra Pramukh, about 300 Kendra Pramukhs approached Leap Forward in 1920 and asked them. So they heard about what's going on in different schools, and they approached Leap Forward and they said that, we would also like to know about how our teachers are doing, how the schools are doing. And so they were also added to groups. And so then what happened was Leap Forward started developing specialized content, which would show these Kendra Pramukhs how their specific I mean how the schools within their jurisdictions were performing and how the teachers were performing. In 2021, this number increased to 679, and all of these are voluntary. Remember that the Kendra Pramukhs learn about this from the teachers or from other Kendra Pramukhs, and they sign up for the program. And this is out of 3,500 total Kendra Pramukhs in Maharashtra. So still a long way to go, but I mean they've uh, done pretty good progress in 2 years. um, with respect to the parents, so initially what happened was that Leap Forward used to generate content, pass it to the teachers, and ask them to pass on that content to the parents, which was specifically for homework and activities which were supposed to be done at home. And this mode of communication became very useful during COVID because that was the primary method of teaching. So Leap Forward created content, passed it to the teachers, and then the teachers either passed it to the parents, or the teachers expected the parents to keep their phones, give their phones to their kids, and then they would conduct online classes. And so in 1920, this uh, um, engagement with the teachers had about 10,000 teachers, sorry, parents engaged with Leap Forward through their teachers. And in 2021, because of COVID and because this became the primary method of communication, the number of parents jumped to 1,56,000, which is significant. A few interesting initiatives which Leap Forward has been doing, is working on currently, which I would like to mention. Um, are basically, one of them is the rewards portal. And what happens is that every teacher who signs up for their yearly program gets a login to a rewards portal. And uh, and what happens is that every time Leap Forward sends out a call to action. So for example, they tell the teacher to conduct a quiz, or and upload the data, or they tell the teacher to create a video of how he or she is teaching a certain concept in class. Excuse me. And upload the video. And for doing any of these completing any of these calls to action, the teacher gets certain number of points. And as the teacher accrues points, they can we know who are the higher performing teachers, who are regularly doing follow-ups, regularly conducting tests, all those things. And so what Leap Forward did was they started handing out gifts to these high performing teachers, and the gifts were in the form of more content. So they would send them books, or they would send them charts, or some additional content which was developed specifically for this purpose. And I mean, additionally, these points can also be used to rank the teachers and schools and geographies. So suppose a government official wants to know that in his jurisdiction, which are the teachers who are doing well, which are the schools which are doing well, then these points help in doing that ranking. And in this year, even a students rewards portal has been launched, which means that every student also is able to basically see his own points based on how quiz is taken and things like that. So we will be able to eventually track the progress of students over the years, which would be extremely useful data for us to see how effective the program is. The next thing is WhatsApp Enterprise. So currently, Leap Forward has a small team of about I think 8 people who are managing more than 750 WhatsApp groups manually. And as you can tell, it's very intensive. So in Madhya Pradesh, what Leap Forward is doing is they are experimenting with WhatsApp Enterprise, which has a lot of automation. So a lot of the things are, I mean, a lot of the times the teachers are interacting with bots, and there is a dashboard which gives additional details of how much data has been consumed. I mean, how many videos the teacher has seen, and all lot of additional data is created. And so 110,000 teachers have already registered for this in this WhatsApp Enterprise in Madhya Pradesh currently. The next is the content management system. So Leap Forward has developed this tool in-house, and what it does is this entire content of Leap Forward is stored in an online database, and then the staff can automatically create like quizzes, create tests, create homeworks from their database, and they can schedule when the content is supposed to be delivered to the teachers. And so the content delivery happens automatically, the test paper generation happens automatically, everything, a lot of the manual intensive part is removed. And they even have a database of about 80,000 sentences to give practice to the students. And so this has removed a lot of the dependence of the senior staff, and now very junior staff are able to manage this entire system on their own. uh, the next is the performance review tool. This is another amazing thing. And so the Kendra Pramukhs, as I said, have a jurisdiction which has a number of schools in them, and they are assigned with the duty of visiting each of these schools and doing some evaluation of how the teachers are doing, how the schools are performing. And most of the time they just randomly pick a school, they'll go to a random class, they'll pick some students and they'll ask them questions, and not much happens after that. What Leap Forward has done is they have developed an app which uh, when the Kendra Pramukh opens that app, it will tell him that you go to so and so class, you pick out these three students by giving him the name, and you ask them these three questions, and depending on the responses, Leap Forward can actually validate its own data using this on-field like the visit which the Kendra Pramukh is doing. So every visit becomes more meaningful, it validates the data. And currently they are already piloting this in Kolhapur. And so I think probably next year we will be able to get some good data out of this, because this year it got delayed because of COVID, and also there were certain issues with the app development. Finally, they are working on a task management system. So, in order to reduce the costs and make it more sustainable, they are assigning a lot of tasks to volunteers and part timers and interns. And so, they've developed this task management system in which they can assign tasks to volunteers and monitor whether those tasks are being completed. And I think this is very useful even for Vibha. I mean, on a day to day basis, whenever we do our events and things, we always also want to assign tasks to volunteers, and we want to make sure that they are being completed. And so this would be extremely useful for Vibha as well. Another one which I find has a very large potential, and which is why I've mentioned it here, even though Leap Forward is not actively working on this right now, is that Leap Forward believes that all languages follow a certain structure. And so they've they've been working on developing a translation template so that their content can be easily translated into any new language in a very short time. So if another project in a different state wants to use Leap Forward's program, within like a period of 2 or 3 months, they can translate the entire content into their native language, and basically the program can be as effective as it was in Madhya Pradesh or Maharashtra. So with that, I just want to leave you with a couple of stories. I mean, during COVID, we've seen a lot of negative things, a lot of things that bring us down. But I just wanted to leave you with a couple of very positive stories that came out of COVID. So this is a teacher, Mr. Rameshwar from Gondia, and what happened was he realized that the students in the village where he was teaching did not have access to any cell phones, and so he had received these charts from Leap Forward because he was a high performing teacher. And what he did was he went and he pasted those charts onto the walls of uh, these some of the houses in the village, and then the students used to come there, and you can see them, they are taking down notes from there. And so he came up with a very innovative way of continuing the education of the students even during COVID. uh, Another story here is from Miss Ujwala in Pune, and what she did was that she realized that out of the 36 students in her class, only 15 had access to mobile phones. And so what she used to do is she used to go to the schools even during COVID time. I mean, she used to go to the village and she would ask these students who didn't have access to cell phones to assemble in a certain area with social distancing, and she used to teach them. And the other very innovative thing that she did was she came up with a new reward system, and she told the kids who had access to cell phone that if they taught the students who didn't have access to cell phones, she used to reward them with a star. And because of this, a lot of encouragement, the students were encouraged a lot, and this program is doing really well in that village. And so these are just a few things, a few very innovative teachers. In fact, I also had the privilege of attending a class about a couple of weeks back, a leap forward class in which a teacher was teaching the students, and we managed to we just joined them from Vibha to see, just to get an example. And the teacher was using Zoom, and she was using this feature which is I think called a whiteboard or something, and she was asking the students to actually write on their phone. So she would tell them, okay, write so and so word, and they would spell write the spelling of that word, and then she would correct them. And I have never used this whiteboard concept in Zoom ever, and it was amazing to see the teachers innovation, and the way she wanted to be as effective as possible. So yeah, with that, thank you very much. And I will not be there physically, I mean, in this meeting to answer your questions, but feel free to email me anytime. And any if you need more information about Leap Forward or anything like that, so please feel free to email me. And I thank you very much.